Self hypnosis is on page 44 of your manuals, page 44. So when I was a kid, I remember waking up, I believe it was probably a Saturday morning, I turned on the TV and there was these characters on TV, and one's name was Brains, and I think there was Penelope, Lady Penelope. Does anyone remember that show? Yeah. Thunderbirds. Now, if you don't know who the Thunderbirds are, imagine a Pinocchio puppet, so a marionette puppet with strings.
Oh, they brought this back recently on TV, yeah.
The what?
They brought it back on TV.
They brought it back, okay. And so imagine you're a marionette puppet, like a Pinocchio puppet, and someone's got your strings and they're sort of moving your strings around. What would happen to a puppet if someone came along and cut those strings? What would happen? They fall down. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend like we're a puppet. This is called the Pinocchio method of self-hypnosis. This is rapid induction. You are taking yourself very quickly into a deep state of hypnosis and then giving yourself suggestions. We'll go through this overview. Before we do, the important box says, when performing self-hypnosis, only give yourself one suggestion each time, repeating this suggestion 8 to 15 times before bringing yourself back. This ensures that you remain in a hypnotic trance whilst giving yourself the suggestion. So because we are self-hypnotizing, we want to reduce our conscious connection as much as possible. We want to be as unconscious as possible. So we only use one suggestion at a time so that we don't need to try to remember, oh, hang on, what's the second one I was going to use? What's the third one? We're too caught up in our heads at that point. We just want to go, what's one suggestion? I just need to memorize that one, take myself through. If you had a second suggestion, you just need to take yourself through twice. So you come out and then you go through the second suggestion. This is how you create a suggestion. Step 1, to create a suggestion, and you're all going to create your own suggestion in a moment, we want to make sure there is a time or context to the suggestion. And so an example might be that you start off with, every day I. So every day is the time reference. If there's some sort of other context you want, it might be every night I. Every time I'm in the office I. Every time I'm doing yoga I. Every time I'm learning I. Whatever the context is for you or whatever the time reference is. Every Monday I. Whatever it is. And we always refer to ourselves as I. So we have a context or a time reference. Then what we also do is we need to have it stated in present tense. What is one word starting with N that denotes present tense? Now. So every day I now. Put the word now in there. Every day I now, and then whatever follows. So it's now in present tense. We have the time and context reference. The next step is we want to make sure that the suggestion is stated in the positive. Simply because our unconscious minds don't process negatives. Now, let me give you an example of that. Don't think of a black cat. Who here didn't think of a black cat? See, you have to think of a black cat to know you didn't think of it. So you cannot process negatives. As I say, every day you won't have pain in your body. What am I focusing you on? Pain. You're thinking of pain and saying that's what I shouldn't have. What you focus on is what you create, is what you get in your life. And so we never want, as a practitioner, and you're the practitioner for yourself tonight, you don't want to give yourself something to focus on which is something you don't want. We don't want to focus you on pain. So instead, if you want to deal with pain, you'd ask yourself, if I don't have pain in my body, how would my body be feeling instead? What might they say? Great. So every day my body now feels great. What else might they say? If I don't have pain in my body feels energetic. So every day my body now feels more energetic. And so we want to turn it into the positive. It might be someone has anxiety. We cannot use a suggestion that every day I won't have anxiety, because what are we focusing on? Anxiety. What they focus on is what they're going to get, because they conjure up those images in their head of anxiety. We don't want them to focus on their problem. We want them to focus on the solution. So we'd ask ourselves, if we're dealing with anxiety, if I don't have anxiety, what do I have instead? So if someone didn't have anxiety, what would they have instead? Clarity, calmness, confidence, whatever it might be. Relaxation. Whatever your words are, it doesn't matter. We just want to have it stayed in the positive. Now, sometimes people want to improve their lifestyle, maybe their eating habits. They're saying, I don't want to eat sugar. How do I deal with that? And so I say, well, if you're not eating sugary foods, what sort of foods would you be eating instead? What might they say? Healthy foods. So by omission, you can actually exclude something by saying, every day I now eat healthy foods. And then saying to them, was eating sugary foods a healthy food? They're like, no. Well, then let's focus on the healthy foods. Because if you're now eating healthy foods, you are still omitting those sugary foods without us having to focus on the thing that you don't want. So we can still get a result by turning it into a positive. So we have a context, present tense, make sure it's positive. So every day I now, let's go, eat healthy foods. We now have a suggestion. That's our suggestion. It's stated in present tense, it's stated in the context and time reference, and it's positive. Every day I now eat healthy foods. There are some really interesting words to consider throwing in there, which might be words like more, easier, faster. So words, for example, in here, every day I now eat more healthier foods or more healthy foods. Because they may already eat healthy foods, so we want them to eat more. When it comes to things like confidence, every day I now have confidence. We don't want them to just have confidence, we want them to feel more confident. Or maybe we want them to make it easier. So every day I now find it easier to feel confident. Every day I now heal my body faster. And so adding these qualitative words in there will maybe emphasize the result for the person or for yourself. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now, you are your own practitioner today. I want you to think of any problem that you want to overcome tonight. This can be a deep layer problem, this can be a surface layer problem. I'd encourage you to choose a deep layer problem because you do not have to share it with anyone. You just know what your problem is, that's fine. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to create 2 suggestions for yourself to address either that same problem or if you want to create 1 suggestion for 2 problems. It's up to you. So what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to come up with 2 suggestions to overcome a problem that you're facing right now, following this model. The other thing I forgot to mention was that you want to make sure that you can easily repeat it. So don't try and cheat yourself by adding in a few commas. It's like every day I now eat healthier foods and learn faster and retain more and have more healthier diet. And that's too long. It's too long, you can't easily repeat it. So it needs to be fairly concise, you can easily repeat it, positive, present tense, context, and maybe consider throwing some of these words in there. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to come up with 2 suggestions. Any questions before we start? You should write it down. If you have any questions, you need some assistance, put your hand in the air, I'll come past and help you. You have 2 minutes, ready, set, go. Okay, so now you should have 2 suggestions, or at least 1 suggestion written down for yourself. If you only had time for 1 suggestion tonight, and you've written down 2, I want you to look at those 2 suggestions, and I want you to pick which suggestion is the one that's going to give you the biggest impact, which is the one that you are really excited to start with. And I want you to star it, circle it, underline it, highlight it, do something so you know that's the one you're going to use in the next few minutes. If your problem is indecision, let me help you and say just choose the first one. So just make sure you know which is the suggestion you're going to work in the next few minutes with. Has anyone not been able to choose one? Anyone not been able to choose one? No, everyone's got one? Fantastic, great. Okay, so step 1 in the overview says 1 suggestion only. You now know what your suggestion is. Let's install it a little bit to begin with. So what I'm going to ask you to do now that you know what your suggestion is, I want you to say it 6 times at double speed. So say it a little bit faster than normal, but I want you to say it in your mind. I don't want you to say it out loud. I want you to say your suggestion 6 times over and over. So for me, this is not, you wouldn't hear this, but this is what I'd say. Every day now eat healthier foods. Every day now eat healthier foods. Every day now eat healthier foods. Every day. So I'm just saying it 6 times. Say it 6 times in your mind just so you know what the pattern of the wording is going to be for you. So I'm going to ask you to say your suggestion 6 times in your mind. Ready, set, go. Okay, fantastic. So however many times you said it, that's enough. So you've repeated enough, so now you should have a fairly good feel as to what that suggestion is going to be. Let's move on for the rest of the overview. It says, number 2, take a deep breath and hold. So let me draw up a diagram that shows you how this rapid hypnosis works. It says we take a deep breath and hold. So we take a deep breath in here and we're holding for approximately 10 seconds. When I say take a deep breath and hold, what that means is you'll take a deep breath in. You don't need to do this yet, but just watch. Take a deep breath in. And when I say hold, you are then going to squeeze and engage every muscle that you can possibly engage. Your arms, your legs, your chest, your head, everywhere you can. You're squeezing your muscles and you're tensing them. You're tensing your muscles. You're holding your breath for approximately 10 seconds. It may feel like longer than that, but it will only be 10 seconds. Then what will happen, what that does, that sets a pattern of behavior. Your body, or if it's almost like disconnect from your mind, your body is like, okay, so is this what we're doing? And it doesn't know that it's only going to go for 10 seconds. Your body's like, all right, so you just want to keep tensing. All right, we'll expect that to happen. And then, where it says number 3, rapid induction. Rapid induction happens when you interrupt a pattern. Rapid induction occurs because we interrupt somebody's pattern and they're confused because what they expected to happen is no longer happening. It's something different. And so what happens is we're this Pinocchio puppet that's tensing all our muscles, all tensed up, and then when we imagine someone comes along and cuts our string, what would happen to a Pinocchio puppet if it's all tense? Someone cut their strings. Flop, right? And so when you hear me, you'll hear me say this tonight, I'll say drop, and that's when you imagine that someone's come along and cut your strings, and it takes you into a deep state of hypnosis very quickly. It interrupts the pattern. It's a pattern interrupt. Pattern interrupt. It interrupts your body's pattern. The body was thinking it was going to continue. It doesn't. It just shocks it a little bit and it short circuits the brain just a little bit to a point where you just go into a deep state of trance. Once you're in a deep state of trance, I think step 4 says deliver the suggestions, offer suggestions. And so then once you drop down, and this is probably half a second or a quarter of a second, you then deliver your suggestion to yourself silently in your mind 8 to 15 times. That's when you start going. You just dropped and you start saying the suggestion over and over and over and over and over. Now when I say 8 to 15 times, I don't want you to count. I don't want you to count at all. It doesn't matter if you say it 7 times, doesn't matter if you say it 21 times. It doesn't really matter how many times you say it. This is just a rough guide. Any idea why I don't want you to count? You're distracted. You're thinking about it. You're too consciously aware. I don't want you to be consciously aware. It doesn't matter. It's not going to mean you get a better result or a worse result if you go over or under. You just want to have the intention to say it approximately somewhere around there and just trust your unconscious. If your unconscious says, yeah, I think that's enough, it's probably right. And so you're going to say it anywhere from 8 to 15 times. Tonight you're going to hear me count you out. You can hear me say 1, no sensation, hands and feet. 2, sounds in the room, sounds outside. 3, deep breath in. 4, big stretch. 5, open your eyes, feel awake, alert, refreshed. The entire process will take approximately 45 seconds. 45 seconds, and for a lot of people, they get a lifelong result. And I know that sounds like a wild claim, but it's absolutely true. For some people, they prefer self-hypnosis over guided hypnosis. Some people are like, I don't want the fluffy, cuddly, magical forest stuff. I just want to get a result. What's the fastest way to get a result? Well, this is the fastest way to get a result. Not much of an experience though. Some people love the guided hypnosis with the walking through the caves and the waterfall, all that sort of stuff. And so if you like the experience, well, That's guided hypnosis. You just want to get the results. This is self-hypnosis. 45 seconds, and for a lot of people, you can overcome pretty much any problem that you're facing very, very quickly and long-term as well. Any questions on this so far? Question, Pippa?
You're counting us out tonight.
Tonight I am.
With ourselves, how do we count ourselves out?
You don't even need to count yourselves out. I mean, when I say you don't need to count yourself out, you just open your eyes. When I do this to myself, actually no, I do still count myself out because I'm just so conditioned to do it. But if I had to, I could just open up my eyes and I'm done. So if you don't know, you don't even need to know the script. You can just say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open up my eyes. You'll hear me stick to my script that I use just because I know it so well. But look, if you just want to go from here to here and you don't even bother counting, you can just open your eyes and you're still out of it. Answer your question? Now, what I do need to say to you is this, that if you are pregnant, if you have any extreme high blood pressure concerns, or if you've been through surgery in the last 6 weeks, you should not do this. You should not do this because when you hold and you squeeze, it increases your blood pressure slightly. And then when you drop suddenly, your blood pressure drops suddenly as well, just slightly again. Now, just to make sure that you all feel safe and you're all comfortable, so my solicitors have told me that I should mention to you if you are pregnant, if you have extreme high blood pressure, or you've had surgery in the last 6 weeks, sit this one out. Don't actually do this. If you need to sit this one out, one of the scripts that you get sent on Monday afternoon is a self-hypnosis script, but instead of taking 45 seconds, it takes about 2 minutes. But it doesn't increase or decrease your blood pressure. And so it's a softer way, it has less stress on the body. This is kind of like the most, when I say effective, the most efficient form of self-hypnosis, 45 seconds. So I want to show you the range in terms of hypnosis. You've got the 45-minute hypnosis, which you're learning this weekend, and you have the 45-second hypnosis, and everything falls in between there as well. So if you need to sit this one out, just know you need to wait until Monday to use self-hypnosis, if that's the case. Question?
Do you just breathe like naturally, like when you're giving yourself your 8 to 15?
Yes, yeah, because you'll naturally just start breathing like you've been breathing every day of your life without focusing on it. Yeah. So yeah, once you've released, once you've sort of had those strings being cut, I don't even focus on breathing, I'm more focused on delivering my suggestions. So my breathing just happens naturally. Yeah. Do you guys want to see this being done, yes or no? Yeah. It looks a bit weird, and that way you've got a feel for what it looks like and how to do it. Now, I would encourage you not to do it in public because you might open your eyes and find someone's called a paramedic for you. It does look a bit intense, it does look a bit strange. You're not going to hear me say anything, but you're going to see me go through that process. Okay, let me find a suggestion. All right, let's do it. Okay. That was it. Look a little bit strange? Yes. Or a lot? A little lot. And so that's self-hypnosis. Now, if you're looking at me and you thought, when the holding part, if you don't feel you need to go that full on, like if that looked full on, you're like, what? I don't think I can do that. If for you, tensing all your muscles as you going, then so be it, so be it. Like we all have different thresholds. We all have different comfort zones. The only intention I want you to do is just have the intention to engage your muscles within your comfort zone. Now, I wasn't pulling a muscle there or anything like that. I wasn't like on the verge of fainting. I don't want you to push yourself too much, but I want you to just engage your muscles as best you can. Then you're going to hear me say the word drop. When you hear me say drop, that's when someone's come along and cut your strings and you just drop. Then you'll hear me just very quickly say the suggestion to yourself. I will wait 30 seconds and then I'll count you out. So you have 30 seconds to say your suggestion 8 to 15 times, and then I'll count you out. You guys want to have a go at this, yes or no? Yes. Fantastic. Okay. So like I said, if you need to sit this one out, that's okay. You just need to wait till Monday. So make sure, have one more look at your suggestion. Make sure you know what it is. The last thing I'd hate for you to do is go under and go, oh no, what was my suggestion again? So make sure you know what your suggestion is. Okay. Then maybe put your books away. Make sure you're comfortable with how you're sitting. Now when you drop, this has happened twice so far. Not so much to you guys when we've had tables. I've said drop to someone that went bang and headbutted the table. So just know when you do drop in a safe way. Maybe just, don't drop too much. Okay. So everyone close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And hold and squeeze. Engage your arms, your legs, your chest, your head, everything you can. Squeeze it all. Squeeze, squeeze. And drop. And say that suggestion over and over. One, start to notice sensation, hands and feet. 2, start to notice sounds in the room, sounds outside. 3, take a deep breath in. 4, big stretch up and out. 5, open your eyes, feeling awake, alert, refreshed. Welcome back. Welcome back. You guys look so silly doing that. Okay. So that is self-hypnosis. Now there's a little bit of a program that goes along with it. And that is that today is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So let's call whatever you just did, let's call that suggestion A. I don't know what it is, you know what it is. You just did suggestion A. It was 45 seconds, it's done. You do need to do it 2 more times this week. So another 45 seconds and then another 45 seconds. But you do it on Monday, 45 seconds. Do it on Wednesday, 45 seconds. And studies have shown that that is the bare minimum to get the lifelong result that most of you are probably after. That is the bare minimum. Now, if on Wednesday you still feel like, on Thursday, you still feel like you need to do it again, well then you could do it again on Friday if you really wanted to. But then some of you may want to go home and do it with another suggestion. Maybe you're like, you know what, I've got 5 suggestions I want to do. So you go home tonight and you do suggestion B and C tonight. So then do B and C on Monday, B and C on Wednesday. But then you may run out of time. Now the reason why we have these days off is they're what we call integration days. They're times for us to recognize a change in our behavior, some improvements, almost like a bit of a day off from those suggestions. But then tomorrow, you might want to use it again, and you can still use self-hypnosis on Sunday, but you would just use different suggestions. So you might do suggestion X and Y and Z tomorrow. So you do X, Y and Z on Tuesday, and then X, Y and Z on Thursday. And so that's the bare minimum. You can continue to go forward if you wanted to, but a lot of people have found that all they need to do is 3 times in 1 week, and that problem is done.